I think that was one of the things that was really interesting about this, is that the process was so different. I mean, normally we rehearse the play and we keep rehearsing and we keep rehearsing, and then we get an audience, whether it starts out that sort of the full cast is the audience, and then slowly more people, and then you do it a few times, and the play will change, and these kids grow, and they have a lot more time to do that. Whereas for this film, it was come in, rehearse the scene, film the scene, we're done. So you kind of take out that development part of it, which was interesting, because it was, I think, a lot harder for the kids to be like, oh, this is my character, this is the moment, I have to be in my performance space right now. That's very different than, oh, the audience is out there and I can see my mom, and and that kind of gets you hyped up. We didn't have that. We were in a small room with a few people wearing masks.
Do you think that moving forward, I mean, you kind of created this blueprint, and we've gone through like the first wave of understanding of how this can be done. Do you think this is something that other people can copy? And do you think, like, moving forward, depending on how severe this pandemic goes, hopefully it doesn't, that it can be something that can be shown, like, hey, during this time you can still do these plays or have performance arts safely and stuff?
Definitely, because I think for all of the things we talked about, the camaraderie and the creativity, even if the final product looks different, it still has a lot of value. And I think we'll only get better as we rethink going forward. We had to really switch gears, because everything we had done in rehearsal was for a play. So it was really turning things around. Now, if we knew going forward that we were going to do something like this from the get-go, I think we would approach it all very differently.
And that's another thing. I am not going to remember the kids' names, so I will be asking Kate, like, such and such character.
That's fine. If you call by their character name, that nobody will be offended.
Okay. That's good.
That was actually the one thing that I kind of felt like, I wish but since we were just behind cameras, I feel like Basile and I were kind of in the situation of, okay, we make the kids uncomfortable, like, rather than building a relationship with kids. Like,
well, I mean, that actually just sort of segues into COVID, like how hard it is to establish relationships with kids when you can't go within 6 feet of them and you're wearing a mask, and it's really hard to get to know anybody,
Yeah. It's so weird. I can't imagine growing up right now.
Yeah. It's really different social world, for sure.
So could you just explain a little bit about the school? Just like what it is? It's a charter school that, like, kids go through from a younger age than typical, right?
Sure. So kids stay at our school. We're pre-K through 8th grade. So most of our middle schools have been at our school for a long time. A couple from pre-K, a lot from kindergarten, and then a few kind of join us somewhere along the way. And it's a charter school, which means it's lottery. So sometimes kids don't get in kindergarten, so they might not actually get in until 1st or 2nd grade, and they'll come and join us at that point. So yeah, but
I auditioned for my high school.
Yeah, no, we don't. You don't have to audition. You just have to have a number.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I don't. Well, it was really cool to be involved. So I was the editor and sort of camera. Y'all.
Right. Well,
I was also camera / assistant. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I worked with you, Alex, back at Filmmakers Camp, so I knew you had good stuff and were excellent with kids and knew how to run a camera, and had a lot of editing background. So I called you in, and I also knew you knew some good people. So you brought in Basile, which was fantastic.
Yeah, we actually met on the street at a protest.
Really?
Which is,
Yeah, we were out. It was George Floyd, right?
mm-hmm.
And that's where Alex and I met. We had the same camera brand, and we were like, oh hey. And then,
So
that's
I
how
know that.
the conversation happened.
exchange info. Yeah, I feel like when you have a certain commitment to your craft, your equipment reflects it. So I was like, oh yeah, sweet, another serious filmmaker.
Salam and good evening to you, worthy friends. Welcome to the fabled city of Al-Ghuraba. Oh, imagine a land, it's a faraway place where the caravan camels roam, where you wander among every culture and tongue. It's chaotic, but hey, it's home.
It was real interesting. Like, it's kind of like the making of Aladdin versus
Right.
Aladdin.
That's kind of what I was thinking a lot. I was struggling with this from the beginning. Do we want to give the parents like a feeling of here is what it would have been like, or do we want to just say like, okay, here's the experience. This is it. This is the final thing, you know? Yeah. And hopefully we found moments of, you know, all the different shadings of that.
I didn't even question. I guess whenever something was being done, I just was like, all right, let's film. And so, especially the recording studio, I was just like, all right, let's. Well,
you have a strong documentary background, so the kind of connection of camera to reality for you seems intuitive.
Both Basile and I were kind of charmed just because I think we're used to showing up and, you know, pointing a camera at something. He also has a documentary background, and I actually tacked on an extra day for him to show up at the studio just because I wanted him to see it.
I really like the shots that you were taking, because I didn't pay attention to. That's one thing. Kids were very good at not paying attention to the camera when you guys were around.
Oh, yeah.
And just the shots you guys were taking, like, oh, that's so interesting. It wasn't just like this, just looking at this. It was really
right.
nice.
I'm glad. He had mentioned like they seem like they're uncomfortable with the camera being pointed right in their face.
Which is surprising for this generation.
Right.
Oh yeah.
I like Mr. Buddy Studio because it's just intimate. It's very deceiving, as you know. Like, oh, where is this a place? And then we get inside, it's like, wow, it's a whole recording studio, and you guys didn't even see downstairs. Like,
right. Were you pleased with the way that came out, buddy?
I was not pleased. I was very, very pleased.
Oh, really?
Yes.
He definitely had a lot of editing in there.
Oh yeah, there was editing, and I already knew that was going to happen. I was prepared for it because they're kids. So I like to catch all the raw footage, and then let me do what I need to do to make it work. So yeah, I was very pleased.
You did such a good job.
I appreciate that.
And because I think one thing is like, not one time did they actually see you the whole time. You were downstairs the whole time.
Who's that talking? Why is he? Where is he?
Voice of God. Was there as much dancing as there was in the original? Like,
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, I had big plans for like Prince Ali, those big songs. Like I really wanted it to be a huge, like I wanted it to be as big as the movie, like just with colors and props and everything. So that was kind of sad for me, but the kids I think still like made it work, and the dancers who were able to like be, you know, I guess spotlighted and highlighted, they were scene. So I'm still happy. And I love the view from the top. I'm hoping that that's probably going to be something that I do more often. Recording students from the balcony.
That's a great idea, Patrick. That was great.
I know. Thank you.
Yeah, might be another year of this.
Like whenever I go back, I'll be recording things from there. So.
Sounds nice.
Yeah.
We haven't put it back yet. We got to put the gold back. That thing took a while.
Oh, right. The whole gym.
Yes. Yeah.
We got time. It's fine.
How about that? Yeah.
And the other thing is with COVID, the kids weren't at all of the filming. So like Eliza was only in the studio for a short amount of time. Some kids were never in the studio. Some kids were never in the drama room filming the acting parts, because we really had to keep kids in as small of groups as possible, which is kind of the opposite of the way we usually do things, because we're usually pulling in as many kids as we can to be in as many numbers as we can. We just want kids on stage all the time. So this was definitely something to get used to.
Well, before that, I want to know, when was the news you guys heard about COVID and then the school closing? I'm assuming you guys had the play planned out already. And then what was like the decision of sending out, hey, parents, we're looking to still do the play. We have an idea for something, and how that came into fruition?
So we started when we ended schools in mid-March. And, kids were immediately like, what's going to happen with the musical? And at that point, we had already been rehearsing since January. So we were well into it. The kids knew all the music. We had blocked most of the play had been blocked with the principal actors. A lot of the choreography had been taught. So immediately, what's going to happen? And I sat down with Patrick and Rolanda, and we all over Zoom. And we all said, we want to do it. We will do whatever we can. Whenever we get back to school, we will pick it up, and as much of it as we can do, we'll do. And then the date that we were going back to school kept pushing and pushing until it was, announced that we weren't going back to school at all. And at that point, everybody was really sad, just because we assumed we couldn't do it. And in fact, in our yearbook, we pretty much wrote tributes to all of our kids and all of our 8th graders who didn't get to perform. Just all of us writing things about them, because we were so sad that they didn't have that moment on stage. And then our page on the yearbook is pretty blank with pictures, because we never got to do it. And then we started talking about a summer workshop, and we started with, well, if it's safe to do things during the summer, maybe we'll just do it in person on a smaller scale. And then all of a sudden, we got to thinking about filming it, and hey, maybe we could do it over Zoom. So that just became this like kind of amazing idea, and Patrick and Rolanda were absolutely on board. We weren't sure if parents would feel it was safe or not. So we sent out a survey, and by and large, parents were like, yep, as long as you guys are following social distance guidelines, we're on board. A couple parents said that they could only do it over Zoom. And for a couple of parents, they really didn't feel comfortable at all, which was sad, because, we like huge productions. So this was significantly fewer kids than we usually work with. So that's kind of how it all started. And then when I spoke with you, Alex, and you're like, yeah, I'm on board. And we just sort of started putting it together.
It was, it kind of felt like, oh, wait, this is an opportunity in a bizarre way, but like a thing that I wouldn't be involved with, otherwise. And it's like, I want to.
Well, when I was talking to you, I remember being like, well, I don't know how we're going to do this. And I don't know how we're going to do this. And here is my vision. And you know what, when you sent that first song, I said, this is exactly what I was thinking about. Like, this looks exactly the way I wanted it to look, and exactly what I had in mind, which is shocking, because I'm sure I wasn't very good at verbalizing what we were thinking about and using the terms, because no one really knew how to do anything on Zoom aside from having a meeting and pushing the record button. So, it was a lot of discovering it along the way.
But it was nice to see the kids in like the recording studio. So that's something I definitely hope we can eventually continue getting them that exposure and that experience. in the studio.
Yeah, they really like that.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good time. Yeah, Buddy, have you worked with kids like this?
Oh yes, I have. I've worked with several kids for years, and I really enjoyed it. It was a wonderful experience. I mean, I just love working with kids, period, anyway. So sometimes they do things. Some kids, it's first time in the studio, and they're loud while they're recording. We're like, whoops, they gotta edit that. So it was exciting. I really enjoyed it.
The vibe is really fun.
Yeah.
I think it comes across in the footage, or I hope it does.
Yes.
Yeah, I think with that recording, we only had one kid that has done studio work before. I think all the rest of them were just brand new to it. So it was really exciting.
Right.
And then
Who was it?
Devon.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, it does make sense. He can keep a pitch for a while.
Yeah,
Right.
you can tell.
Yeah, did the I guess the fun of bringing in recording artists must have been kind of I mean, that's new, right, this year? Or had you all done like audio? Like, what had you been involved in one of these before?
Oh yeah, several.
Oh, okay.
Buddy has been in it with us since the beginning.
Yes.
I've been handling the sound for our live stage play. So he's been doing the sound. This is the first time we actually recorded stuff, but we always did everything live.
Gotcha. Well, what was so cool to me was that, like, I just had to show up with a camera. Like, I did such little work. Y'all had Basile and I were just meeting the other cameraman, and we both had, our film equipment, but like, I still haven't read through the script all the way.
Oh, wow.
But I didn't need to. I mean, like, Rolanda, you and Kate seem to have a vision already planned for, like,
yes and no. Some of it's kind of just, we kind of want to see, like, I'm sometimes the type of person where I need to just see it before I can really put it all together. Some days I'm just like walking around the house and, it comes to me and I write it down and do it. For this, because I knew everything had to transfer to being online, I had to do my own personal research of like, all right, what dances will look good in these small boxes that won't look crazy, where kids, if their internet goes out, they won't be like,
right,
and everybody else is moving. So I definitely had to fix out of my choreography to make sure it would fit and look right and look clean, because I would rather like very simple and clean movement than like something really difficult and just looking crazy. So but me and Kate and Patrick, I think we definitely just have this natural chemistry with each other, which I'm really grateful for, because we were able to quickly just transition and say, all right, let's just do it. Whatever happens, happens. And just trusting each other.
You had the vision too, Patrick. I didn't mean to leave you out of that.
That's cool.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I started the music early.
Yeah. Yes.
That was a plus. I think I might have started in January, not February.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
wow.
we let you just do the music first. Like, I wasn't doing any choreography because the music was so difficult. So I'm really glad you did that.
Me too.
I had no clue of the degree to which everything was prepped or not prepped when we were coming in. So I thought y'all did a great job.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
What was it like for you, Ishai? Just because y'all haven't met, right? Other than
no, I'm staying at home. I'm on lockdown. I'm trying to be safe because I'm mostly just watching the toddler, and I can do it, and my wife can work from home. Watching these kids is just finding the charm that, the camera finds in them. They're just it was kind of amazing to find these moments, like especially Devon is Aladdin, right? What's the name of see, that's the thing though, I don't have like the name to the character connect here. It's Devon, and what's Jasmine?
Alexis.
Alexis. So Devon and Alexis, like you just had to watch them for a little bit. You had to just sit with them, and then you kind of, oh, they got this chemistry. And Genie, remind me his name.
His name was Tyreek.
Tyreek. Also, right? He's got such a physicality, and you just have to find these moments where he's just both himself and doing a part. And hopefully we found a bunch of those, because a lot of natural charisma. I hope they take this further beyond just school. But I mean, where the world is what it is, so they'll do what they want to do.
I think like Miss McKenna and Miss Williams, like Tariq was like a diamond in the rough. Like we had no clue that he could do that. And when he auditioned and did such a great job, we were like, wow.
That's fun.
And the chemistry between Devon and Alexis, they're best friends anyway. So that also worked out. So they were able to feed off each other, which was cool.
Yeah, my biggest hope was that the kids felt good about it. And families as well, I guess, coming out at the end. But do you think they had a good time?
Well, I know the kids had a good time.
What?
Especially with everything shutting down, I think it just gave them like that final opportunity, especially with the 8th graders, to get together and just kind of finish this, because the musical is always kind of our big ending for the school year. All the kids get to see it, and I think for the 8th graders, it's really special. Some of these kids, I think they've been in the musical since we first started doing musicals, so I think this is really important for them to at least have that final moment, since we couldn't be in school, to still perform a musical in some kind of way.
Totally. So this is an annual thing that you do?
Mm-hmm.
And
it's 6th one? All right.
So what have you done before?
We've done Beauty and the Beast. We've done Madagascar. We've done Seussical.
The Lion King.
And Shrek.
And Shrek.
Before my time.
Of all of those, Shrek the musical is the one I tried to watch and could not. Keep going. But whatever. Anyway, beside the point.
I was gonna say, how did you explain this to the kids? Like, what was like the talk, and what was their initial reaction when they found out that the musical was still gonna continue?
I think the kids were super excited. I think they didn't really know how it was going to work. And I think a couple of them, because it rolled into summer, were all of a sudden in summer mode. So some of them, it took them a little bit to kind of get back into being in a rehearsal and being in a school setting. And, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of focus. It's a lot of being quiet. And so that was, I think, challenging for kids, but at the same time, they hadn't seen each other in weeks and weeks and months. So I think everyone was really excited to just see their friends again, particularly for our 8th graders, because they didn't get to say goodbye. They didn't get their closing ceremony. So, the last time they saw each other was on March 12th when we were just going home for a weekend. No one knew we weren't going back to school.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
I definitely noted sort of like the progression that the kids had as the weeks. It was like, I think 3 weeks that we filmed, right? And just sort of like seeing how they were kind of like getting back into gear. And then by the end, like, it's clearly people were like sad to say goodbye to one another. It was very cute. Basile, I was curious what your first impressions were like coming into the project, because I know that I didn't do much in terms of like prepping you for what it was. Plus, I don't know that I knew exactly what we were getting into.
I don't think I walked into it thinking like everything was gonna be. Is my mic on?
Yeah, it's a little quiet.
Oh, is it? Oh, geez. I didn't walk into it thinking that everything was planned out and prepared, like everyone knew what was doing, because it was such a cluster that no one, I knew it was going to be, a guessing game or a trial and error kind of deal. So in that aspect, I was excited because that opens the door for creativity to try different things, to try and make the production the best it can be with the circumstances we have. So, you know, the limiting factor was somewhat good in a way, because it made you, you know, it's problem solving. You had to figure out how we're going to make this work, how we're going to do this. And for the most part, it was pretty simple. It was good to see, one, how talented the kids were, how a lot of them, like the camaraderie, it was very good camaraderie. You know, you had your cliques in here and there, and then like, I think, Alex, when we went to go see one of the recordings, I mean, you would hear them making fun of each other, and, you know, it's just that banter, you know, it's hilarious. And so it was good to see that they not only liked the production, but they liked who they were working with. And, you know, at such a young age, you know, that's a good thing to see.
It's kind of amazing to see it from this perspective. I was always behind the scenes or on stage, or, you know, and just seeing the combination of recorded sound and a live performance, and kind of trying to mix it. Thinking back, I wish all of the actors, you know, actually sang on camera, even though we were gonna feed in the recorded sound with them, because some moments, you know, at some moments it showed a lot of charm because they were just kind of being themselves, and they were kind of realizing, oh, this is kind of ridiculous and funny. But on the other hand, you know, it just doesn't look, you know, some moments just don't look right when you're not singing. I mean, maybe it's like watching one of those old musicals, and they're not, you know, they're not singing, because you know Barbara Streisand is not singing, and all she's doing is just face, so that it feels to you like she's really expressing. But
yeah, that was one thing that I didn't have time to do, because I realized that after I watched a little bit, I was like, I didn't teach them how to kind of lip sync or sing along with the recording. Yeah.
I was stoked though that we did get footage in the recording. Like we do lean on that.
Oh sure, yeah.
Though there were occasionally takes where like we only filmed one version of someone singing, and then I think maybe the recording used a slightly different one, so it ends up anyway.
Yeah, that's right. Was interesting how you did it.
What's the plan for next year with Coach? Like,
we have not really talked about it. We always we never reveal what we're going to do next year until the first day of school, and we as a group don't decide until the week before the first day. We all come with our plans, and then we just say, let's go with it. This year we haven't talked a bit. We haven't done anything. Not even. I haven't even looked that far.
Yeah. Well, what's a musical? What's a musical where nobody talks to each other or stands next to each other?
It'll be like individual scenes, just monologues.
Yeah. We're doing Castaway.
Oh, that's right.
Just everybody screaming Wilson.
Right.
Especially, and you think middle school is such a hard time. So the fact that these kids are able to put themselves out there like this, and I mean, this really was completely new for them to step into a recording studio and to be knowing that their voice was going through that mic for everyone to hear. I mean, I can't imagine how hard that was. And yet they did it, you know, they just did it.
Totally. That's a really admirable.
Yeah. And I think, you know, honestly, sound is really hard in our productions every year. It's so hard to hear the kids. We're in this huge space that is the gym, and then we rehearse for weeks and weeks, and then we get microphones for the kids like 3 days before we perform, and it changes everything. So to be able to just, I mean, I think the sound is phenomenal in the movie. Just, it's better than we've ever had it before because we're in a studio, and it's just optimal for sound as opposed to being in this enormous gym with all of these kids, some of whom are mic'd and some of them we usually use, you know, it's just, this was a lot better sound wise.
What was like your conversation with the school when you said that, you know, this is, you wanted to try and do this? Like, were they like, I don't know, you know?
No, they were super supportive. I mean, Miss Adams, our principal, she loves the musical. Like, she loves the musical. She is really supportive of it. So I think she was absolutely on board. And I said, this is what we're doing to keep kids safe. And we have, we have Patrick, Rolanda, and I are all on board. Helen is on board. We have people to do the film. Then she thought it was a great idea. She opened her doors to us, and whenever we wanted to use the school was fine, which was wonderful.
That's cool. Yeah, the thing I wanted to be sure to mention just was like how, like, I feel like projects like this with kind of like production around an educational event, but like kind of legitimizing it in a way, or at least that's what I hope we brought as filmmakers. I wish it was more common. I wish that there were budgets in education for things like this, just broadly, and that like there's so much kind of opportunity, especially with the arts, to I don't know, it just sort of feels like it's positive in all directions.
Well, I mean, I think that doing this project, and I mean, it's true every year when we do a musical, that the kids get so much out of it. They're learning so much. It's so valuable. Just the creativity involved, the discipline involved, the confidence building, the camaraderie, all of those things that you can't get always in an academic setting. But, you have to have support. It's so time consuming to do. And we are so lucky that during our school day, we are given time to rehearse, which I think is amazing that it's valued in that way. But also financially, I mean, we do not break even ever when we do a musical. It's just so expensive. There are so many costs that nobody has any ideas. Just the rights alone are over $1,000, and then renting the equipment and the sound equipment and the stage, which is what our normal expense. But for this, having you guys and editing the film, I mean, these are all in the studio. They're all huge expenses. So we're really lucky that, we are at a school that sees that this is part of learning for kids and finds the way to pay for it. Because I recognize that a lot of schools would not do that. And, we will never break even. It's just our families and our school don't have the kind of money to make that work. And they shouldn't. I mean, it is part of the academics. It is part of learning. Yeah,
I know that as filmmakers, I mean, I don't know, Basile, what your how you've sort of managed, but like as a gig worker myself, it's always frustrating sort of being like really committed to projects that you care about, and then the only projects that are like well funded are ones that you generally are just sort of like, let's get this over with. My brother currently is working on something, an advertisement for cat food. And it's just sort of like, that's the type of thing that pays well. But
yeah, I agree. I mean, there's been instances for like TV shows and stuff. I'm like, I do not want to be here at all, but it's the best paying one, and they've kept me on the longest. And projects, such as this, where it's fun, there's collaboration and whatnot. It's hard for them to get funding, which isn't fair, because it's more valuable, in my opinion, for people to see it as opposed to the same, TV show rhetoric and entertainment aspect of it and stuff. And, I understand that's the way the world is, but as far as kids having the opportunity to see other kids do stuff like this, maybe that, breaks that barrier, opens the door, like, hey, Mom, I want to go try this out. And, Kate brought up, some schools don't have that luxury to say, hey, we have a fine arts program where we want kids to come in and, be able to act, sing, whatever, play instrument, whatever the case may be. And so that is like the sad and downfall of I think what the kids need and is missing. Like I believe Kate, you said Yago, I think was he's a studious, student, but the fact that he auditioned for Yago, you weren't expecting that. It came out of left field. And so you have those aspects where these kids where you would never think at all would do a part like that, and the way he did it, but here he is. And
right.
It turned out great.
Cool. Well, I hope you guys like it. That's exciting that you haven't seen it all the way through at this point. Yeah, I think that, I mean, I don't know, Ishai, how do you feel about, I feel like we did a pretty good job of, you can see the camera work and everything, but the attention and focus is the performance and the music and the
dance and oh yeah. The only reason I got so into this editing because there were these moments where you just see these kids just discovering the joy of the moment of acting and just have some real charisma. You watch them and you're like, this is charming to watch. You want to love these kids.
Oh yeah.
And that's what it's for.
They did great.
Even Alex made a debut. He's a spooky voice.
Oh.
And
love it.
I haven't done imitations or impersonations in a while, but I had to voice over for Jarvis in one section.
Oh, right.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. Like, I will not be outdone. I'm looking forward to hearing that.
Oh, is he coming back for something? Never mind. Don't answer that.
Oh.
Cool. Well, thank y'all for sitting down. I don't know if there's anything y'all wanted to say, but I guess it was cool to be a part of this because normally I wouldn't even know what was going on.
Well, we appreciate you all. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you too. You guys are amazing. This was really surprising. I'm so happy.
I'm glad we worked out. Maybe we'll do that this year. I mean, for the next year.
Right.
That's in the plan. We'll just do a movie.
I hope COVID's gone, honestly. I mean, I'll stick around. I'd love to be a part of it.
Still do movie.
Not
Right.
for this reason.
So just that energy that you get from the stage was very different. And that was something that I hadn't really thought of until we started filming. And I was like, oh, this is really, I don't know how this is going to look when we're, like you just don't know how it all streams together, and we're filming things out of order. And there certainly are a lot of inconsistencies within our production. You talk about, as a director, I had to sort of let all of that go. And like, Devon is wearing different pants today. He didn't bring the right pants. It really doesn't matter. We'll be fine. Or we just filmed this and Alexis is wearing her glasses in this scene. We forgot to tell her to turn them off, take them off. And I think the old director in me probably would have been like, I can't let that happen. It has to be perfect. But we just had to let those small things go and not worry about it. So I think really it's more about it was more about the process than it was that final product.
What was the kids' reaction, I guess, like throughout the process? Or like, were they saying anything as far as like, I mean, I'm sure this is all news. It is new for everyone, but I mean, from when this first started to when it ended, what was their like feelings towards it?
I think they were excited to be there. I think they wanted to be at as many rehearsals as they could, and we couldn't do that because of numbers. I mean, I think that one day where we were in the gym and we had so many kids and we really did social distance, and it was really hot in the gym, but I mean, that was really a special day. That was fun, and I think that made it all kind of worthwhile. But I wish we could have had more days like that. I think Rolanda doing the Zoom choreography got to see more kids, so I think they had that opportunity, which was really cool. And I think that, they were pretty committed. The ones who were committed, they brought their costumes, they learned their lines. it was a lot of work at a time where not much was expected of them. So I think they're so used to slugging around the house, and we'd have kids that I'd call because they weren't there at noon and they'd be asleep, and I'm like, no, you got to wake up. You have rehearsal now. So it was a different mix to the way life had been prior to that, and probably since.
I have two apologies I need to make. One was that day specifically.
But you weren't alone. You had other kids. This was common.
Oh, well, Basile showed up, and I was filming, and I think I was the only phone contact that you had.
Yeah, I was locked out. I was like, is no one in the office?
Hey, that was that day when we were in the gym and we couldn't hear you, and you had been out there.
Yeah, I was yelling. I was like, I'd wait for you guys to stop singing, and then I would yell, hello, hello. I'm like, they're not gonna.
I think we had some kids that had the same problem. So
right. So that's my first apology, and then the second apology is the day that I kind of missed filming.
Yeah, we fixed it all. We got it all in there. So it was good.
I slept through a portion of it. All right. Basile, you do the Baltimore guys, right? And sort of have a local focus on a lot of your work. Is that true? Because one of the things that I really appreciate about doing a project like this is that it's, ultimately like builds community, and is a local orientation, and kind of like celebrates things that are, I mean, like I have never met any of the parents of these kids, but I feel like I hopefully made them happy for you.
You would be like, Yeah.
Yeah, can we talk about how do you guys lure in these students for these plays?
Well,
or just in general.
I think honestly, just like what you said, Basile, like these plays, when we do them, are as much for our younger kids who aren't in them as they are for the kids who are in them. So, the first thing is that our kids all watch the musical every year. And, our elementary school, starting in pre-K, they have drama, they have dance, they have music, they have art. So we start at a very young age just building those skills in the kids. And then for them to see sort of where they're going and to see the progression of what they'll be able to do someday. So I think it's a rite of passage. When you get to 6th grade, you can try out for the musical. Some of them are like, I'm in, I've been waiting for this. Some of them are a little bit less sure. So I think it might take them a year to see what it's all about and to hear from their friends if it's fun. So it is, we definitely push kids to try out a lot. I know kids' acting abilities, so I'll say to kids, hey, you would be great. Mr. Brown knows who can sing, so he'll be like, try out for the musical. But somebody like Tyreek had never taken drama with me. He came to our school later, so he didn't go through that process. And then when they get in middle school, they choose which arts they want to take. So he had never picked drama, so he was a complete surprise. And then it's always a surprise to me to hear who can actually sing, because I don't always know that. And that's just always amazing when I can hear how well they can sing.
So when you have like a talent like Tyreek or someone else that just shows up and surprises you, do you try and convince them to either pursue that? I know some kids, they like, I just want to go. I just was doing this as a one-time thing, but then like when you see people who just have potential, I don't know, you're like, hey, you should try and do this just for future thing.
We want them all. We're always like, try out for BSA. We would love them to all continue it in some way. And some of them do. And, it's sad, but there aren't a ton of opportunities in Baltimore City schools for them to continue it. And kind of depends on where they go to high school. And that's sort of a little bit beyond our control, but hopefully we've sort of lit a little bit of a fire underneath them that they'll continue on with it. And, like I think of a talent like Jarvis, and I really hope he pursues acting in some way. I think his just an incredible voice. I could see him going into radio because it's just, I mean, he just really is amazing. So, you know, you tell them that as many times as you can, and hopefully they'll listen, but who knows? They're also really, they're all interested in a lot of other things. They're great at math. They're great at science. They want to go be doctors and lawyers and rule the world too, you know?
I want the arts to be a viable, I went to an arts high school, and a number of friends just sort of chose other paths because of the finances.
Yeah.
I want it to be a more viable kind of career.
For sure. And you know what? These kids who are so talented have so many different talents that they, you know, they can do whatever they want. So it is understandable why not everyone goes into something where they know there might not be a lot of career opportunities.
We've got the whole thing exported. I'm gonna send you the YouTube link. It's 6:45, right, on Sunday.
Cool, because when I'm gonna go ahead and send that out to families, so they have both links, and just say, look, we're gonna start all together. Then I'm gonna, if that looks bad to you, then go to this link at 6:45 and you can see it.
Great. Well, screening is on Sunday.
Yeah,
6:45.
I'll be there.
Right.
Is there a set time or anything, or did we just watch it on our own time and pretend that we were all there?
Yeah, we've planned it so that it's a like live, well, it's streaming on a YouTube channel. So,
oh, cool.
It'll be like a premiere event where it's like you can tune in and it's going. Yeah. Keep your ears open with Kate, I guess, is going to be the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, guys.
All right. Thank you
Take
so
care.
much.
Thank you all.
Everybody be safe.
Bye.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Take care.